Recording in progress.
So Nate and Mike won't make it tonight.
Okay, so be on about 6:30. Bring this meeting of the Easton Conservation Commission to order November 7th, 2022. In order to establish our quorum, we're going to take the attendance roll call. You want to start off?
Present.
Ben Carroll present.
Rory Caulfield's present, noting that we have 3 members present and have a quorum. So first up, we have Mr. Greg Swan from the Easton Department of Public Works.
Can you guys hear me?
Can hear you, can't see you.
Oh, this is not good. Well, it's okay because I'm just gonna be doing a screen share anyway. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good, thank you.
Good. I'm here tonight to talk about the annual MS4 permit. Let me start my screen share here. So this is our annual public review of the Stormwater Management Program Plan as required by the EPA. This is our annual stormwater report. The MS4 permit, or stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, is the function through which we are permitted with EPA to discharge stormwater runoff from our buildings and right-of-ways into eventually the waters of the United States. The town of Easton is located in the Taunton River watershed, which is a tributary of Long Island Sound. Easton itself is in pretty good shape in terms of our impairments. We don't have any. Well, we have one that's really Stoughton's problem with turbidity. We don't discharge to it. It just is in a little bit of our property. But because we are in the Taunton River watershed, we have to treat for nitrogen and pathogen impairments. Easton Public Works maintains 59 miles of drain pipe, 1,100 drain structures, 2,400 catch basins, and over 337 outfall discharge points. The permit requires us to perform 6 separate tasks: public education, public engagement, locate and eliminate illicit sanitary connections, ensure that construction projects do not pollute with sediments and debris, ensure that new development, redevelopment control is treated properly before charging to the surrounding environment, and engage in pollution prevention actions to be proactive as opposed to reactive. The permit began in Easton in July 1st of 2018 and runs through next year. But I believe, my understanding, Jenny, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is it's going to re-up until they issue a new permit, and I don't know when that's going to. So we'll just have to keep doing the same standards over and over and over, which isn't a big deal. But I will get into that next year at the end of year 5. As part of the year 4 requirements, we had to prepare a report, basically assessing our local infrastructure rules and regulations and see how we can make them more friendly for green infrastructure. Jen was kind enough to partner with the EPA in a pilot program to review all of our outstanding, everything that we do in town, including all of our management, what we do for climate resilience, all of our requirements and our bylaws. They will review this as a pilot project and make recommendations, and then we'll come out with another report. Jen, when are they going to start on that? I'm just blanking on that, and it's okay. My recollection is it's next year.
It's supposed to be the end of December, but because they're several months behind, I wouldn't expect it before February, March.
So we should be able to, have in 8 to 12 months, we should be able to have a report on what our findings are as a reasonable goal, but I wouldn't, it being the EPA, please don't hold us to that. but as we get more information, we'll be more than happy to share it. Another requirement from our year 4 permit is to prepare a nitrogen identification report. The intent is we've identified all of our subcatchments in town that discharge to water bodies. We prepared a report based on the amount of impervious area and the soil conditions, how much nitrogen is generated annually from each of these subcatchments and how they discharge. Then identify each subcatchment's pre-treatment process. So basically, we're going to have a list of areas in town that say, this is what's generating the most nitrogen in town, this is how much is being treated, and this is how much we're discharging to the waters of the United States. And these are the areas that we can improve upon by adding some sort of pre-treatment best management practice to help eliminate nitrogen from the streams and waterways. Another requirement was to identify a series of municipally owned properties that we can add or retrofit BMPs to, or to reduce impervious cover. I've identified the following: Easton Town offices, the Public Works building, our police departments, Parkview School and Center School are being replaced. So that's, we're going to get credit for the new school with the new green infrastructure that they have over there. Along with the work we're doing on Depot Street, we've added some sediment forebays, upgraded all of our catch basins, and go from there. We have an opportunity on Foundry Street from Eastman to Bay Road to make some drainage improvements in the near future as part of a TIP project. So we'll keep an eye on that. And that two of the areas at the bottom you see here is a section on Depot Street and Beaver Dam Road. These were identified as two of our catchments that were, generate the most nitrogen discharging to our waterways and currently don't have any treatment product, any best management practices in place to treat that. So these are kind of what we'll be focusing on for next year's project list about what we can do in these areas. I do know that the Depot Street address, there is an easement there that maybe we can add some sort of forebay or infiltration basin or something to help remove some of the nitrogen before we discharge to the water bodies in Easton. And Beaver Dam Road, not so much, but we're still going to look at, I have a few ideas that I got to vet with Jennifer and with staff about how we're going to, what kind of an opportunity we have there to clean that up. Ongoing public education and outreach. The town of Easton is part of the Think Blue campaign. It's a product of being in the Sursage bid group. It's a nonprofit that puts out stormwater information for town. If you've seen it and you click on the link, it's educational component for residents. They drop a rubber ducky into the stream and they show how it gets to the water. And then they ask you to consider that the rubber duck is no different than the oil that drips from your car, the salt water that runs off of or any of the chemicals that you use to treat your lawn. And just be cognizant of what you're putting in the waterway, and maybe there's a better way to do it. We also have to make public postings for proper yard waste, grass clippings, promote slow release fertilizer for all of our green products, make sure we clean up after our pets, and make sure we have proper maintenance of our septic fields. The Board of Health puts out a flyer every year just reminding everybody to get their septic tanks pumped, and anything they can do to keep their septic fields as healthy as possible. One of the requirements is that we have this meeting for anybody in the public to comment on the stormwater plan. The other thing that we do is we have our annual hazardous waste day where you can bring your hazardous waste to the DPW in the springtime and have it removed of properly instead of flushing it down the drains. This is, again, a result from last year's our illicit detection and elimination plan, where we identified all of our outfalls and where our problems are. This needs a little more following up, but we will be getting to that this winter. But again, the big hits so far were surfactants, which are located in detergents. So any of the public who are watching at home, if you're washing your car in your driveway, those suds actually cause damage to the environment. And it's, when you have lots of people doing that, it adds up over time and can affect the environment that we live in. In general, what have we done in the past year? In addition to everything I just talked about, obviously we send out all the public information. We've updated our bylaws per the requirement. We sweep all our streets twice a year. We inspect as many catch basins as we can and remove sediments. This year we inspected 679 catch basins and removed over 70 cubic yards of material, dirt, grit, anything that's contaminated, and we've removed and stored it. And then when we have enough material, we'll properly dispose of it. And these last 5 items are really a testament to Jen and how hard she works here. She and her staff have reviewed 71 site plans, completed 404 site inspections. They've issued 13 enforceable actions. We've received 52 as-built, and she's reviewed 5 SWIPs, which if it sounds impressive, it is. That's a lot of work. And I don't know if she gets the credit she deserves for everything that she does. So, Jen, if you want to take a victory lap on that one.
That was very nice. Thank you.
At the end of this year, at the end of next year, we will have to continue distributing educational messages to our targeted audiences. At this point, we have to issue one more message to industrial and commercial business owners. I'm hoping to, unfortunately, because of COVID, my ability to get out and talk to people had to be delayed and put on hold. I do want to get in front of a couple of different sites in town, and I'm also trying to work with Stephanie about trying to go to some of her meetings and put on a little presentation about what they can do, minor things that business owners can do if you own a commercial site or industrial site. It's just as simple as making sure your dumpsters are closed before a rainstorm, making sure there's no trash in the catch basins, making sure their landscapers are, not dumping debris where they shouldn't in drainage swales. Little things like this really add up over time. And then we're also going to, it's not listed here, we're going to come up with a list of, start pursuing projects from that list I just showed you and come up with costs and, going to town meeting and asking for capital funds to start putting some of these in place. DPW has a talented group of individuals in both the highway division and building department. If we can manage the target size of it, we may just be able to get away with asking for, we can design the BMPs in-house. We have three engineers, professional engineers on staff. We can do the survey. We might just need some materials and some equipment, and we can do it ourselves, and that'll be a massive cost savings to the town. And then just maintaining what we do on an annual basis. And that's really it. That's what we've been doing. And that's what the DPW has been doing for the MS4 permit. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to hear from them now.
Any questions from the commission? Greg, what more can we do as commissioners in sort of keeping this stuff in mind? I know that we deal with stormwater treatment and all that on a regular basis.
I think it kind of shows for itself what we do in the fact that we don't have any impairments. We're kind of lucky in that regard. We're not in the Charles River watershed where they have a phosphorus issue, and that is going to cost them. Right now, I know the city of Newton just had to install. They redid their parking lot at one of the libraries, and I think it cost them $200,000 to put in a parking lot that would remove phosphorus from the runoff. Just keep doing what you're doing. When you see site plans that come in, making sure they have appropriate BMPs, making sure that contractors and homeowners are following the stormwater regulations to the best of their ability. They're pretty, I'm not saying they're stringent, but they're pretty good at what they do. Don't be afraid to ask, for little things, again, just to make sure that, make sure they're following those rules, and you take care of the little things at this level and they kind of sort themselves out. We don't have any impairments in town that they've found. So we're doing the right thing. But keep on doing what you're doing. I don't think people understand how hard it is sometimes to volunteer for these commissions and to take time away from your family after hours to be able to come in and do this. And just stay cognizant of, what you've been doing and keep on keeping on. I hate using that saying, but that's really the truth.
Okay. Any public comment on the presentation here from Mr. Swan? Okay, so seeing none, we thank you for everything, and I will echo your sentiments about the hard work that Jennifer does on a day-to-day basis. She really does a tremendous amount of work, and I know I appreciate her every single day, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
For kind words.
Thank you, Greg.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, so next up we have a hearing for 95 Belmont Street. This is a notice of intent for vegetation management activities. And do you know who that is?
Yeah, Brad's coming up.
Okay.
Evening, members of the commission. Brad Holmes with ECR on behalf of the notice of intent for 95 Belmont Street. The applicant is Hala Williams, and we submitted a vegetation management plan to work in the buffer zone. I can pull up the plan if that helps.
Yep, thank you.
You see the site plan?
It's coming up. Yeah, there you go.
Great, thank you. So the site contains is a commercial lot. It contains a building with a paved parking area, some front landscaping, and a small yard, minimal lawn area around the back of the site. There's a bordering vegetated wetlands in the southern portion of the site that's been delineated by ECR, and you can see the buffer zone consisting of the 50-foot and the 100-foot buffer zones coming off that wetland. This is a site plan that was prepared by MBL Land Development and Permitting. The project is broken down basically into two components: the inner buffer zone, which would be that brown shaded area, which would be in the 50-foot buffer zone, and then the green shaded area would be the outer buffer zone, inner and outer. You can see the tree line right up against the lawn, and overhanging the parking lot is where we're proposing vegetation management activities. Looking to clear some non-native invasive brush, remove some overhanging trees, remove some hazard trees. The details are included in the plan. We're planning to continue the hearing tonight so that I can meet with Jennifer on site and go over these details and refine them as needed and come back to you with some more detail. But we wanted to open it, present it to the commission. Any butters have any questions we can address, anything the commission may have questions or additional information to bring to the next meeting. The intent tonight was to open it and present it and just give you an overall feel for the project. So with that, I'll leave it to you because I have to refine it and come back to you.
Okay. Jennifer, do you want to give us some overview on this?
Sure, yeah, I'll just mention a few things. The FEMA flood map does show some floodplain. It probably comes across the street, so we've asked to put that on the plan. To be a little bit more specific about the number, the size, and the species of trees that they're requesting to remove. Some of the work will be done with herbicides, so looking for the herbicide applicator license, copy of that, and the DS sheets for what type of herbicide is being used. You mentioned hazard trees, so is there an arborist report saying what the hazards are? Some of the work is within the 50-foot buffer zone, so that would require a waiver. So we need to get the waiver request in. the description talks about trees overhanging the building. They might be overshadowing the building, but I don't see them hanging over it. So we can take a look at that when we go to the site tomorrow. Yeah, we have a joint site inspection tomorrow morning.
Any comments from the commission? So I would just echo Jennifer's comments about being a little bit more specific about what the hazards are for the trees. I mean, I think even the tree that's been topped by a storm and has that hollow in it, that hollow is it's not damaged or anything. I mean, it's been there, and that's been there probably for 50 years. I mean, it's an old injury to that tree. So I would just, want to have some information. That one's in the 50-foot, so we'd have to be a little bit more cautious about that. I mean, typically our approach to most of this vegetation management is that if we want to take down trees, we've got to have a real reason to do it. There are some dead standing trees. There's no question about it. Those should absolutely come down, and I think those there's no need to keep them there. I'd probably leave the wood right there in the buffer zone. There is some vine, some pretty heavy vine activity that's choking out some of those trees, so that we should probably try and find a way to control that, because that's causing some of the issue here. So just those are my comments and being out on site today. So I think that's just echoing what Jennifer has said already, but I'm sure you guys will sort it out on site and get us to a point where it makes sense what we're doing. So, okay. Any public comment for 95 Belmont Street? Okay, so seeing none, we'll continue to 21st. Is that correct?
Yes.
You agreeable to that, Brad?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Make a motion to continue 95 Belmont Street to November 21st.
Carol, second.
Colfels, Carol, second. Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, I.
Colfels, aye. Okay, Brad, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
Okay, so next up is 409, 413, 425 Turnpike Street. We have Tracy Duarte, is that correct? Tracy, do we need to bring anybody else up? Ryan as well, or?
If Brian's here, you're welcome to join us here.
Yes, thank you. We'll bring Brian up as well. So this is a notice of, this is an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, colloquially known as an ANRAD, to identify the boundary resource areas. So.
We're here tonight on behalf of Turnpike Street South LLC to have the wetland resource areas on site approved. Would you like me to share the ANRAD plan with you?
That would be great, yep. Okay, we got it.
There we go. So the site consists of 409, 413, and 425 Turnpike Street. This is the old Country Gardens. And it also includes the big parcel to the south, which contains the BBW. You can see the 100-yard flood zone here for Zone A. This parcel is also pretty much within the National Heritage Estimated Priority Habitat area. And there's a potential vernal pool on site over here. We had Michelle Grenier delineate the wetlands. We did have some comments from Jennifer, and we set up an on-site with our botanist and ourselves and her for Thursday. Because we know she has some comments that we'd like to do some test bits in the field to confirm some areas. So our intent tonight to present it kind of like Brad, but we do have our on-site, and we'll have to do some subsequent updates to the plans we submit.
Okay. Any other information you want to give us tonight?
Yes, so this is Brian Dunn, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. The entire site is located in an ACEC. I don't know if that was one of the questions that came up, but I wanted to make clear that the entire site is within an ACEC.
Okay. I think that, you know, from our perspective, those things will come to bear when we go to NOI. So it's great to point it out here, but those you know, things like that do come here. Jennifer, I'll let you comment before I jump in and make a couple of comments.
I'll just note, we do still need a DEP file number, and you didn't get one, right?
No,
No, it'll probably end up coming out tomorrow morning
Tomorrow.
on like 8:15.
So we do need a file number. It's a reminder to the public, this is only the wetland boundary. We're not, we don't have any proposed plans for something happening on the site. This type of filing is only for verifying the wetland resource areas. When something is proposed in the future, if it's within wetland jurisdiction, then you'll be notified again for a separate hearing called a notice of intent application hearing. There were a few things I noted in the wetland report. As Brian mentioned, one of them, it is in the ACEC. There is the potential vernal pool and it's within the floodplain. The buffer zones should also be added to the plan that are jurisdictional under the bylaw. So there's a 100-foot buffer zone and 50-foot no touch to the floodplain area. And with the vernal pool within the ACEC, it actually ends up being a 300-foot buffer zone. So please make sure you go through the bylaw, look at those resource areas and put the buffer zones on the plan. Some of the topo didn't quite look right when I was out there. There's a lot of alteration on the site, and we're meeting with the wetland scientists to go over a few areas where we'll dig a few holes to look at the soils and make sure that the wetland boundary is accurate. That's it.
And Jennifer, that meeting is Thursday morning?
I'm sorry, Thursday.
Thursday morning, correct, okay.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the commission? No, my question is just about the boundaries on the PVP and the floodplain. So we just need to have those on there. Other than that, you know, I don't have any questions until you guys get out and make sure we're sure where that wetland boundary is. So, okay.
Yeah, the other thing about verifying the existing conditions out there, the data from Natural Heritage line and the floodplain line came from Mass GIS. We put all of our survey plans on mass coordinate systems. So all this data comes in right on the same coordinate system that we're on. So that's how accurate that information is, Jennifer, and members of the commission.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other information from you guys before I go to public comment? Any public comment for 413, 415, and 409, 413, and 425 Turnpike? Okay, so seeing none, we will continue to November 21st.
sounds good.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to continue 409, 413, 425 Turnpike to November 21st.
Carol,
Thank you very
second.
much.
Caulfield's Carol second. Roll call.
Easton, aye.
Carol, I.
Caulfield's aye. Okay, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay, have a good night, Don.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye now.
So next up is 46 Rockland Street. This is a continued hearing for a notice of intent for a single family septic system upgrade.
Took a minute. He's up there now.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Hi, my name's Bill Gottwald. I'm the, through the engineering plans there. I uploaded a,
Hey, Bill, just 1 second here. So can you turn on your camera on your device, or do you know how to do that?
Ken, let me just find it here.
Yeah, thank you.
There we go.
Perfect.
You
And
see me now?
if you could just introduce yourself for the record.
I can. My name's Bill Gottwald. I'm the engineer that put together the plan over there, 46 Rockland Street.
Okay.
So it's a basic septic repair. They're having problems with it. It's in somewhat failure, so it needs a new septic system. I had submitted a plan, I don't know, a month or so ago. Jennifer went out, did a site walk. I made a few of the revisions that she asked for, added more information, I should say, and resubmitted that, I think, last Friday. I don't know if she had a chance to look at it, but basically it's a pump system in the backyard. As far as septic,
Bill, do you have plans, or you want me to bring them up?
could you bring them up? I don't have the means to do it right now.
Yeah, just 1 second, okay?
Yeah.
Hold on. I have them. I just gotta open them in the viewer here. Okay, we should have them. No?
We can see them on the screen, yeah.
Okay, can you see them now?
Does that help, Jennifer?
Yes.
Could tell by the squinting.
I have 3 pair of glasses. These are only for the UV light, the blue light. They're not for distance or reading.
Okay. There you go, Bill. There's your plan.
Okay, so there it is. The septic system is pretty much in the only area it can fit on the property. I tried to maximize the distance from all the wetland type stuff there. When I submitted, the flagging, I think Jennifer looked at it, but the flagging was done by someone else. I don't know who it was. The homeowner was at the time was looking to sell his property, but the flags are all up, and so I just located them. I had a little mess up on a couple of the locations, but this plan fixes them from the first submission that Jennifer had. I added the stream. The required setbacks. She said something about a potential vernal pool. So I added where that was and showed all the setbacks. And that's just about 100 feet from the leaching area. The leaching area is about 55 feet from the closest vegetated wetland. I added the 100 foot off the stream. The leaching area falls about right in the middle between the 100 and 200, it's about 150 feet away from the stream. So any other questions or comments? Glad to address them.
Jennifer?
Well, the staff report was done at the end of September, and this is the first I'm seeing of this plan. Did you send us a hard copy as well?
No, I just uploaded on your website there.
Okay, and what about the other missing information that's listed in the staff report?
I believe I uploaded everything. You had asked for a couple of what was up in your report? A couple of other things, and I believe I uploaded everything.
The supplemental form, not identifying all the resource areas on the property. There's something on the supplemental form that says you're exempt under the bylaw, but this isn't exempt under anything. Use the correct form and resubmit the revision, please. Then a written description of how the project meets the performance standards. The firm and the natural heritage maps.
I know, some of those
It's
things.
quite a list, so, without, and it was done in September, so, if you're telling me that everything is been
Yeah, if you
submitted on
want.
Permitize, okay, I'll have to look it up, though, I won't be able to
Absolutely.
do that right now.
I understand.
Yep.
I just wanted to kind of get it rolling. If there was anything else you needed, I can address it and have everything together from the plan, at least for the next meeting. And I'll make sure you have all that information you asked for.
Yeah, okay, so, typically someone will either send an email telling me how they addressed all the comments in the staff report, or they'll provide a letter that makes it go a little easier.
Just for the record, the only thing uploaded to uploaded to Permitize is this plan. There's no additional sheets or anything, so just to clarify.
Okay, I'll look into that because I know I did the ferment map. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, and if you have concerns about what Jennifer is requesting or whatnot, I suggest you reach out to her and make sure.
Yep, no, I understand.
The only way we can move forward on this is if we get everything we've got to get to,
So in addition to uploading, do you want hard copies of everything also? Is that?
Just the one hard copy is great. Thank you.
One hard copy, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay, that being said, I'm going to stop sharing here. Anybody has any questions? Ben or Al? Just one question for me. So the potential vernal pool over here, is this the mean high water of the potential vernal pool, or is this the 100-foot buffer to the vernal pool? Or the 100-foot boundary to the vernal pool?
It's a 100-foot boundary to the edge of the vernal pool.
This right here, this red line.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. So there's a waiver to be in the, but I think to be in that buffer zone for a vernal pool, right, Jennifer?
Correct.
Okay. So it's just a point. It's probably on Jennifer's checklist already. So I just want to clarify what that 100-foot is. In Easton, under the local bylaw, there's a 100-foot boundary to the vernal pool and then another 100-foot buffer zone to the vernal pool.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Maybe
actually,
I must have
actually 200 feet from the mean high water.
Oh, okay. So I would need okay.
Yeah.
So let me get all this together and I will get a hold of Jennifer in sufficient time before the next meeting and make sure I have everything that she needs.
Yeah, you definitely want to get everything to her by next Monday, the 14th.
Okay.
But she needs several days to not just review your project, but all the other projects that are getting continued to November 21st.
Yep. I understand.
So, okay. Any public comment? 46 Rockland. I will stop sharing my screen. If I could think about it here. The screen share is done now, right?
No, I took the plan off.
Thank you.
You're good.
Seeing no public comment, we'll make a motion to continue to the 21st, November 21st. Just if you aren't going to make getting everything to Jennifer by next Monday, could be a little bit of a stretch for you. Just let's push it out before we get to the hearing. Okay.
Yep. Okay. I'll be able to take care of it.
Okay. So make a motion to continue 46 Rockland to November 21st.
Benson, second.
Alfels, Benson, second. Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Alfels, aye. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up is we have a 91 Union Street, which is requested a continuance to November 21st. So I'll make a motion to continue 91 Union to November 21st.
Benson, second.
Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, I.
Caulfield's aye. That was Caulfield's, Benson second. We have 464 Foundry Street. This is a continued hearing for a notice of intent for a 20-unit residential facility with all appurtenances.
They had also requested a continuance to 11/21.
Okay. So make a motion to continue 464 Foundry to November 21st.
Benson, second.
Caulfield's, Benson second. Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, I.
Caulfield's aye. Next up is we're under our certificate of compliance portion of the evening. This is a certificate of compliance for 40 Elizabeth Way. Again, I have a continuance to November 21st. Make a motion. Any second?
Benson, second.
Roll call vote. Caulfield's aye. Benson. Go ahead, Al. You go first.
Benson, aye.
Carol, I.
Caulfield's aye. That was Caulfield's, Benson second.
I was on the edge of my seat as to whether or not that one would pass, you know?
Just making the votes for Al now. 15 Rollins Road. This is a certificate of compliance for a septic repair that was done earlier last year. This was continued from the 10/17 meeting.
Okay. Would that be Andy? Maybe not.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any hand raised, so I don't think anyone from Collins is here.
Is anybody here for 15 Rollins? Otherwise, we'll proceed with the information we have.
Yeah, doesn't look it. Okay.
There we go. You want me to bring up the plan?
Sure. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so this was for a septic system. The buffer zone markers were installed. There was one area where it looked like there was a little trench dug from the gravel driveway toward the wetland. That's been filled with stone now since the staff report. And everything's stabilized.
Any questions from the commission? Any public comment on 15 Collins Road? Seeing none, make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 15 Rollins Road.
Carol, second.
Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, I.
Caulfield's aye. That was Caulfield's, Carol second. Next up is 59 Meeting House Lane. This is another certificate of compliance for a single family home and driveway. This was previously continued as well.
Scott's here.
He's raised his hand too. Okay. Okay, Scott.
All right, there we go.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission members. Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering. representing Chris and Kelly Percio, who are the owners of 59 Meeting House Lane. We have for you tonight a request for a certificate of compliance. Their property at 59 Meeting House has kind of a long history going back probably 6 or 7 years through the commission. The previous owner had enforcement orders issued against him, along with LEC. My company did quite a lot of work and finally got permits issued through you folks to the original owners. They started the work on the site, a lot of restoration, enhancement plans, a lot of removing of fill that was placed illegally on the site. So a whole bunch of work had taken place, and construction on the approved home site had started when my clients bought the property back in 2020. They subsequently revised plans, and we filed with you folks at some point in 2020 a request for an amended order of conditions, which we did receive. Since then, the Percios have continued the work that was required under the order of conditions. They've really enhanced the property. It's a beautiful piece of property. If you look now, you know, a nice house, nice driveway, nice lawn area. In addition to that, there's you know, pretty impressive and large restoration area that's been taking place there and has really taken hold. There's also a large wildflower area to one side of the driveway. So they've really done a pretty good job keeping the property up. Folks, I'm gonna attempt to share my screen, which I never have that much luck doing for some reason. Just let me know if you see it. Are you seeing that plan?
No, gotta hit the green share button at the bottom first.
We've only been doing this for 2 years now. Oh my God. There we go. All right, share screen. Any luck there, folks?
No.
Scott, did you have the document open before you went?
I did.
Oh, okay. Usually that's the thing, but there you go.
All right. It needed a double click. All right. All right. Let me just see if I can zoom up a little bit on that. So that is the request, the plan to accompany the request for certificate of compliance. So as I said, it's a really big lot off of Meeting House. They have a long paved driveway leading up to the house, lawn area in the front, lawn area in the back. There's this area in through here is the wetland replication area, and then associated with that was buffer zone enhancement area that was approved and has been built. A large wildflower area on the top side of the driveway. One significant change that took place, folks, that wasn't permitted, like we've done on a lot of these jobs, we had a bioretention area proposed at the corner of the driveway that I'm gonna try to zoom up for you. And well, I'm gonna zoom back down so I don't lose it. We had a large bioretention area proposed at the driveway. They were concerned with safety issues on that. And because of that, they decided to install a rather large crushed stone area in place of the bioretention area. So right here is the corner of the driveway. This little corner here is where we had a bioretention area proposed. In place of that, they installed a large crushed stone area that they felt was safer, obviously, for any vehicles in the area, and they felt like that was such a larger area that the commission would have no problem with that. So we do have that change made to the that was shown on this as-built plan that was not part of the approval. So we have that large stone area. This area just above that stone area is the wildflower meadow area. The wetland markers are up. As I said, it's really a beautiful piece of property. Be happy to answer any questions. I believe the Percios are with us on the meeting as well. If you have any questions for them in particular, I'm sure they'd be happy to fill you folks in on exactly what they've done.
Jennifer?
Initially, I did have a lot of comments in the staff report about the project. As Scott mentioned, a number of things were not done according to the plan, but they've provided documentation that shows it's pretty equivalent what was done compared to what was supposed to have been done. There's some additional buffer zone that was converted to lawn, but then they also offset with the wildflower garden. Everything is stabilized. The wetland restoration is also complete, and you have the deed restriction. So, they could get the certificate of compliance at this point.
The substantially in compliance term comes into play here. So, I mean, I think that, from my perspective, just as a comment, just only because this was Scott, the history on this site was a little bit sensitive, that I think that some of these potential changes probably should have had a phone call to Jennifer to make sure that they were really going to meet muster here, because I think we've stretched it a little bit on this. I mean, I think, I think Jennifer is probably being a little bit generous in saying that it's mostly offset. I think if we actually did the numbers, it's not as much, but I think it's close. And I think given that the Percios came to us when they initially made changes to the plan that was originally issued to the prior owner, that was a good way to go about it. And I think that these other changes probably could have gone in as minor changes, but we would have probably been better to involve us up front rather than later on in the project. So at the COC standpoint here. So I'm glad that everything's stabilized at this point, and we're well on our way to wetland replication and everything else. So and buffer zone enhancement. So any questions from the commission? Okay, so Chris has his Chris Percio, one of the homeowners, has his hand up, so I'll recognize him. Although don't know what he could say at this point. So. Mr. Percio?
Hey, sorry about that. I just had my hand up perpetually in case you guys had questions, and I thought I needed to have my hand up to answer them. So, no, I've got nothing to add. I think you guys got it right. I just, I thank the commission. You guys have given us sound counsel. It's been a long and winding road. It's been a long 2.5, almost 3 years since we bought that property. We knew we were buying something that was distressed, and so I just I'm very grateful for all the guidance that you guys gave, and Andrea in particular, she gave quite a bit along the way. So she handheld us through a lot of the beginnings of this. So appreciative. That's it.
Thank you.
You guys can kick me out.
Any other public comment for 59 Meeting House Lane? Seeing none, no further questions from the commission. We'll take a vote here. Okay, so make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 59 Meeting House Lane.
Carol, second.
Caulfield's Carol, second. Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Caulfield's aye. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, folks. Have a good night. Appreciate the help
Thank you.
and the patience.
Thank you. Next up is 785 Washington Street. This is a certificate of compliance for an old permit This was associated with redevelopment, construction, stormwater, and mitigation plannings.
There were a number of comments on that. They requested a continuance to 11/21.
Okay, continue 785 Washington to 11/21.
Benson, second.
You were muted. Got to give it to Al.
Got me.
Call Falls, Benson, second. Roll call.
Benson, aye.
Carol, I.
Call Falls, aye. The next up is a little bit of cleanup. 240 Elm Street, 20R Marshall Lane. This is related to 6 Michelle Way. There was an open permit on part of this project related to another part of this project in the development, and the lawyer found it, and we've got to close out the permit.
Yeah, very confusing. This one particular house had nothing to do with the permit that it's filed with at the Registry of Deeds. So it's a cleanup. It would have to be a partial, because we don't have the rest of the information on the actual
Fair enough.
permit we're talking about. So yeah,
Thank goodness for title reports.
a partial.
Any public comment? 240 Elm Street, 20R Marshall Lane, related to 6 Michelle Way. Seeing none, I make a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance for DEP 1520857 Easton 0622.
Carol, second.
Call Falls, Carol, second. Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, I.
Call Falls, aye. Okay. Thank you all for your patience getting through the first hour. We are now up to 55 Pequonnet Street. This is an enforcement order and reviewing the plan that was submitted to us. So we have Azu coming up here. I don't know who wants to go first here. Azu, you want to unmute yourself? Introduce yourself? You gotta unmute.
Okay, sorry. Well, I will say this. Good evening. My name is Asbert Tuniro. I'm an engineer and land surveyor in Massachusetts, representing my firm, ET Engineering Enterprises, Inc. of 481 Bedford Street, Bridgewater, Mass. And I am here to certify to you that remote meeting is very, very good. Because if you were in person, I wouldn't be able to join you because I'm positive with COVID. So,
Oh no.
yeah. So it's brutal. So don't ever get it. It's not a gift. But I think I've gone past the crest, and now I'm heading back to normal. Yes, sir.
We wish you all the health you could possibly get in the next few days.
Yes, thank you. Especially Thanksgiving is coming, and I want to make sure I have my appetite. So thank you for indulging me. I believe Mr. Newberger, the owner of 55 Connecticut, I think that's it.
Pequonnet.
Oh, Pequonnet. Just
I know.
okay. So you said it, so that's where we are at.
Try spelling it. How does it say?
Yeah, this is an enforcement action that involved taking down trees without a permit of the commission, and obviously that's a no-no. And I visited the site with a couple members of my staff, as well as Mr. Ken Thompson from 5 Wetlands. And we surveyed the property, located the wetlands flags that Mr. Thompson delineated to define the resource boundaries. So if I'm able to share my file,
Yep.
I will probably show my ignorance pretty quick. So what do I do? It says share screen. Okay.
Have a green button in the middle of the bottom.
Yeah. And test screen, what am I supposed to be?
Just find the window that you have that document open in.
Okay. Downloads.
You have to have it open on your computer already.
Okay. Is that showing?
No.
No? Huh. Okay, I'll try again. Okay. Share. I'll highlight this one here, and then I'll say share.
There you go.
Is that working?
No.
Yeah, well,
we got your home computer. We see us now.
oh.
I will take pity on your COVID brain and
Gallery reviews, hide non-video participants.
No, I'll share it from here.
All right. Like I said, I'll probably be displaying my ignorance. There we go. Thank you. So what you have is the existing pond, and between, Rory, if you can zoom in a little bit on the what I will call the, yeah. So you can see the actual house. Good portion of the property is actually the pond, as well as the dam. So where it says,
so this is the
right. So you see the word dam, right? It almost looks like a peninsula right there. That is the actual dam, and it's built out of stones. So a lot of these dams that are constructed of stone tend to have tree roots getting to them. Obviously, if he was going to manage the trees, he needed to ask for permit. And I checked with him. I guess this is his first encounter with Concom. So he does not appear to be a repeat offender, if you will. I know I had a client that was a perpetual offender. So I specifically asked Mr. Newberger if he has had any run-in with Concom, and it does not appear to be so. So the enforcement order asked for a restoration plan, and Mr. Thompson did put together a restoration plan that we submitted. But I will report to the commission that based on our site visit, the mature trees that were taken down, the stumps are still there. The stumps were not grubbed or removed. And there's a lot of sprouting coming out already. And so obviously he will not be able to reestablish those big trees. But the restoration plan that Mr. Thompson has put together calls for certain caliber of saplings to be introduced. That way, you don't need a mechanical equipment, a motorized equipment to dig into the soil. And so most of the planting can be done by hand. And that's basically Mr. Newberger. It's not claiming that he has the authority to do that. He just was ignorant of what the involvement of the commission would be. He was thinking that he was maintaining the dam, and now he knows. So he had actually expressed concern for a few other trees that were undermining the dam. And I told him, no, you got to get through the enforcement action first. We cannot start asking for tree management without addressing the enforcement issue. But I will suggest to the commission, obviously not in the last 5 years or so, but I and my firm was responsible for dam safety inspections for the town of Easton for upwards of 10, 12 years. And that included Long Pond, New Pond, Ames Pond Dam, Landwater Dam, and the Landwater, the one that's right off of Main Street. And so, and if you look at historically, look at those that were constructed of stone, which was primarily the old dam, the New Pond Dam, and Ames Pond. Most of my recommendations was always, we don't want to pull the tree stumps because it will collapse the dams. But we also recommended managing those trees so that the root system does not undermine the dam. So that is something that we would like to come back in the future to address. But we're hoping that whereas Mr. Newberger is, quite frankly, and I understand, because I tell people the same thing, ignorance is not an excuse. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. But at the end of the day, this is a pure case of ignorance. And he is willing to work with the commission, at least do the restoration work, and then hopefully have a path forward. So with that, I'm pretty much done. We'll entertain any comments or questions. And Jennifer was very, I will say this, she was very professional in guiding us and letting us know what we need to do to at least start the response to the enforcement. And so I appreciate that. You've got a great staff working for you.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Thank you. Couple of notes on the plan. We don't need to have the 25-foot buffer zone on the plan. That's not any of the jurisdictional areas.
Yeah.
You have a note for a 100-foot jurisdictional line.
Yeah.
If you could use the terms under Wetland Protection Act and the bylaw, that would be helpful. So if that's the 100-foot buffer zone instead of 100-foot jurisdictional line. The riverfront area should follow the bank. It doesn't look like it's following the bank on this plan, so that might need to have a little adjustment on the plan.
I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, the wetland report doesn't mention the bylaw at all.
Okay.
The restoration plan doesn't talk about removing any of the log piles or the brush piles, and that should really be part of the restoration plan itself.
Okay.
So we would add those things, and then once the commission agrees to the type of restoration, we would just need to amend the enforcement order and reissue that. And so you probably want to put some timeframes on that. You know, what's a reasonable amount of time to remove the log pile and the brush piles, and the reasonable amount of time to plant the planting plan as proposed in the restoration plan.
Okay.
Yeah, are the plants available already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the riverfront, I agree with you 100%. But from a practical standpoint, we didn't really pay too much attention to it because the entire property is in the riverfront. There is no part of that property that is not in the riverfront. Just want to.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference between the 100-foot riverfront area and the 200-foot riverfront area. So
Correct.
If that would be accurate on the plan, that would be appreciated. So you're saying if the plants are already, they're available and ready to be ordered, that
Well, so
can the whole restoration plan be completed within a month?
It can, but I'm wondering if now that we're getting into a frost of probably freezing temperatures, we can plan that this November, and then hopefully you will look at it during the spring growing season and see how successful those are. The reason we have those plans available is that Mr. Thompson does have a nursery that he with those what do you call it, with the those temporary kind of buildings, not an actual physical structure with lightings in them. So he does harvest, and he does grow and harvest some of these plants as part of his repertoire of his work.
So, any questions from the commission? So the, Jennifer, can you give me some guidance, give us some guidance on how late can we do these plantings and expect success?
I mean, it was 70 last weekend.
What's that?
It was 70 last weekend. So if you get the plants in the ground, you know, very soon, they should be fine. And then the first growing season to check them would be in the spring.
Yeah, I want to, you know, I think that if there's an opportunity for us, I think the timeline we want to set on this is as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. And I think that as Jennifer has expressed here in the restoration plan, we got to remove the logs and the brush pile that's there in the wetlands so that we can expect success for what's going on. So
sure.
Any questions or concerns from the commission? There's been there probably should be some discussion here is on a surety bond related to this as well. I think the commission and projects like this, I think the enforcement orders we've done probably in the last year or two, we've issued surety bond to make sure that the project gets done in the time frame we want it done. We've had too many that have dragged out or not get done at all. So, do we have an amount that we should be looking for here? I don't know if we've got a dollar amount that was associated with this project.
That hadn't been submitted. So Azu, if you can come up with the estimated cost to do the restoration area, that's probably what the commission would require as the surety.
Sure, we can develop that because we know how many plants that we're going to get, and then the labor, we know the labor amount that's involved. So it's basically time and material, and then you know, so we can develop that cost data for you.
Okay. So in the enforcement order that will be amended, it'll specifically say that the logs and the brush piles would be removed. The plants need to be planted according to the restoration plan prior to whatever date the commission picks. Seems like a month would be adequate, so December 7th, and that the surety is required. So as soon as you can get the estimate to us, that's makes it a little faster for us to draw up the surety agreement.
Okay.
And obviously once everything is stabilized, the full surety gets returned. It's not like we don't keep any of it unless we have to pull it.
Okay.
It sounds like everyone is cooperating at this point, so it's not likely that it would need to be pulled.
Mm.
The only question, the last question I have is how many monitoring reports do we normally would expect? 2 or 3?
Standard wetland would be within 2 growing seasons, 75% vegetated stabilization.
Everybody in agreement on that on the commission? I got nods. In agreement.
So 2 growing seasons, if you plant it now, could be spring and then fall.
Okay. We'll get on it.
Okay, any other discussion from the commission? Do you need you don't need anything more from us, Jennifer?
Just the vote to amend the enforcement order, please.
Make a motion to amend the enforcement order as discussed.
Carol, second.
Caulfield's Carol, second. Roll call.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Caulfield's aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too.
And don't catch COVID. Bye.
I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up is 39 Winterberry Hills, request to change pervious driveway.
Not sure anyone's here for that.
Is Andy Sargent part of that? Why is that name familiar to me? I don't know what project he's part of. So 39 Winterberry. So I was out there today, as Jennifer had given us another map with some more detail on which driveways were pervious and impervious on the original plans. And I will say that most of them seemed in compliance. There's one that looks recently paved at 104, 112, 116. It's a group of, there's two grouped together plus the one next door that looks like that has new asphalt there that were originally designed as pervious. Other than that, it seems substantially as designed, from what I could tell. Now, I don't know that the fact that, 3 homeowners went and did this without a permit, changes our opinion about what 39 Winterberry is. I don't know what alternatives. I understand the homeowners' issue with getting pervious asphalt done in this small quantity. I mean, we are talking probably it's 500 square feet, maybe. It's not a lot. I don't even know if it's 500, to be honest. And so I think they're going to have a hard time getting a pervious asphalt unless, like she has proposed, that 4 or 5 of her neighbors get theirs done as well. And I think that I will say that the driveway has shown some wear. I mean, it's not in pristine condition, but it's not crumbling to the point of deterioration, at least in my opinion. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm just sort of, my experience here. Jennifer, any comments on that?
I'm just not sure how much of it is actually maintained. A pervious driveway needs to be vacuumed. And if the homeowners themselves are responsible for the driveways, they probably don't have a vacuum truck. The rest of the, some of the parking areas and the road itself, the management company said they do vacuum. But I don't believe the individual homeowners are doing that. So whatever pervious cover they're putting down for their driveway, we just need to make sure it's maintained in the future.
So I guess my issue on this, and I was thinking a little bit more about it, is that I just don't understand what the actual implication would be if we let everybody go to standard asphalt. Like, what would that actually mean for this site, and what would the impact be? And I'm not so sure we're going to get an answer on that for one driveway.
Well, I think they have high groundwater in that area, so any stormwater that comes off the driveway that isn't treated could potentially flood somebody else.
Could potentially flood somebody else.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it does have implications, but it doesn't mean that they couldn't pick a different kind of pervious surface.
And then you're looking at things like eco pavers and stuff like that.
Yep, they could do pavers.
Yeah.
They could do that.
So I think that, we recently had, and I'm not suggesting it for this particular application because I don't think it fits in with the design here, but we had that one project that used that grass, where they have that framework where they basically grow grass in this framework.
Yeah.
They put an underlayment in and everything else, and it's actually plowable and everything else. And there's actually applications of it in places like Buffalo, New York, where they're getting a couple hundred inches of snow a year and stuff. So, and I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that there are a lot more options out there than I think there used to be. Mm-hmm. I agree with Jennifer that most pervious applications become impervious over time without proper operation and maintenance, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
a gravel driveway will become impervious over time
Absolutely.
because it just isn't maintained, right? So I think that that offering an alternative to the homeowner of using pervious asphalt, if they wanted to go to some sort of eco paver or something like that that was properly installed, properly with a proper maintenance plan, and was adhered to, I'm okay with that. I think one of the concerns I had, and I actually did go back and look at all of the permits at this location, Winterberry Hills, since it was built, and one of my concerns is, this project did go under a lot of review when it was built, and so I hesitate to sort of make the determination here that we can, how much it's impervious now. Let's just go to an impervious situation, and I think that you would have to really redo the entire stormwater management process of this. And there's a lot of stormwater structures on this property that require maintenance and whatnot. And I think that would really throw off the entire stormwater design. And that's my concern. I don't know that we want to get into that concern. But I'd rather just try and work with the applicant and say, listen, find an impervious paver, that works for you, get it properly installed. I don't think you're going to have a problem finding somebody, a contractor to come out and do that kind of project for you, as opposed to an asphalt contractor. You could not get out to do this one driveway. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I'm on board. I think what sort of makes this one frustrating for me is the fact that 3 other people just paved their driveways. And so, like, as much as it's a difficult thing to chase, I think it's worth at least sending these people some type of notice that, hey, if you're going to maintain or do something different to this driveway, it has to go back to what it was or better. And then I guess this might be a question that will show my inexperience here. I mean, could you do a traditional asphalt driveway with an infiltration system for it that would somehow offset the pervious versus impervious thing?
They certainly need an engineer to come up with the plan for that, but I don't know that they have enough space to do that.
Okay. I'm just trying to come up with a couple of options.
Trenches are supposed to be, 10 feet from a foundation, that they just don't have that space in a condo.
I guess I'm just trying to throw a couple of options out there, because I think, practically speaking, the eco pavers are great, but I think if you have a 500 square foot driveway, you probably want to shovel it. And I understand the sort of desire to go over to traditional asphalt, but, I think it's a bigger question on the entire stormwater management plan for a project that was designed and approved to allow the units in there.
Yeah, not that it isn't working.
Yeah.
The driveway is still infiltrating water.
Right. It's not acting as impervious surface right now. It still has pervious function to it. So.
Yeah, well, the ones that are traditional asphalt certainly are.
Doesn't the management company have some responsibility for the allowing the pavement of those 3 driveways?
I don't know that they've allowed it, but it's certainly a violation of the permit. And it's not just the conservation permit, it's also the planning board.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we should be sending notice to the management company saying, that it appears that there was work done at least on those 3 units, without proper authorization. So, or we should ask them what authorization they have for that particular work or whatever.
I think that's dead on, Rory. I think that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, just ask. Don't make the assumption that it is. Just let's have them tell us what authorization they have, and then we can go from there. And I agree with Ben. Ben and Al on this, that this is one of these where, somebody doesn't ask and they do the wrong thing, and somebody comes and asks and, they get sort of said, well, you can only do this. And, so I think, Ben, we did have one project where we were looking at a pervious surface that we did do some sort of stormwater management trench on the side of the driveway that was designed by an engineer that showed that they were, they were capturing it and, doing what they had to do with it, treat it and everything else. So But, they had to show us that was what was happening on that lawn. Jennifer says, I don't think they're gonna be able to do it on this piece of property. It's all too tight.
That makes sense to me. I just,
Yeah.
just trying to be helpful.
No, and I think it's a good question for the future and especially since we typically, when we're looking at these tight properties where they're asking for waivers and all sorts of things, and they're in ACECs, and that we really have to be creative in thinking about this. Like, I know we want to do a pervious surface, right, wherever we can, but sometimes the fact that 10 years from now that pervious surface isn't functioning the same way it was designed is something we should be thinking about in the long term, and can we put in a stormwater system that can be maintained easier, either and put it in this case in the hands of the management company as opposed to the individual homeowners. Individual homeowners cannot manage these pervious maintenance plans. They just can't. And it's not that they just don't have the means to do it. They don't have the connections to get the vacuum truck in there, once or twice a year. I mean, it just doesn't work. So
It's not the first thing you think about.
no. So Jennifer, I think that's the way to go here on this.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. You don't need to vote for anything on this, right?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Lincoln Street sidewalks, you just wanted to update us on this?
Just there was a change to the plan, so you do need to be notified about it. Instead of one long infiltration trench on the side of the road, they ran into the gas line, so they have to do 2 small leaching basins. So they gave us the revised plans, everything's good. I gave notice to proceed, but it's,
Always something fun. Those sidewalks look awesome
they do.
too. What a nice addition over there.
Yes.
They started pouring the handicap ramps today.
Yes, and I had asked for a curb cut just in case we ever need a parking space on that conservation property. So it's all ready if that ever happens.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is there trail access over there?
There is a trail and there's a kiosk, and
That's funny. I've driven that a million times. I've never accessed it that way. And anyway, sorry.
yeah, no,
I'll stop the detour there.
I figured it's there. Why don't we just ask for the curb cut? And it's easier to do now than later on.
Excellent. Yeah.
Okay, so you're up to minutes.
Minutes. Did I miss the minutes on 10/17? I didn't see them.
If they weren't in your packet, we'll wait till the next meeting.
Did anybody else see them? I could have missed them.
I didn't see him.
Okay. Well, okay.
I didn't look that closely.
I was just about to say, was I the only one who looked for? Okay. That's what Jennifer was implying. Okay, so we have executive session minutes that we have approved but not released. They were included in the packet. I think that the 2 related to Tufts Farm, which are January 10th and April 25th, are okay to release now. I think we should still hold on the October 3rd one at this time.
Yes.
Okay, so
I might do that a little differently. There was some discussion that might hinge on health related. So I don't know. I would keep that under wraps.
well, we're going to have to release it at some point.
So you have a meeting in executive session for one specific reason why you can't discuss it in public. And once that issue is resolved, then you do have to release those minutes.
I understand the sensitivity that you're talking about here, Al.
Is it something you just want to amend?
That might be preferable, just to leak those. They're not really critical to the substance.
They're not
Maybe
related
just
to
better
the topic we were discussing.
Delete all reference to that.
Yeah, I'm actually with, if we have a mechanism for doing that, then I would like to do that.
You just vote to reopen the minutes and make an amendment, tell us what it is, and then revote them.
Okay, so we'll just do that next meeting.
Sure.
Would we have to go to executive session to do that?
No, let's just, No, we'll just do what we got to do.
All right.
It'll be easy enough to say that, delete these, the first 3 sentences out of paragraph 2 or something.
Right. Right.
Okay. All minutes, next meeting.
Oh,
Very
good.
good. More to do next meeting. That's what we needed. It was starting to look like it was going to be a light one,
Chair updates. The only thing is that I have is I just asked Jennifer to put on the agenda for next meeting is our 2023 calendar, so we can get that signed. She's already got it drafted up and ready to go, and they're probably already using some of the dates already. So
Tish did it. I just put it in the folder.
okay. So we'll get that on the next meeting's agenda. I don't think Al, we didn't have another CPC meeting since.
No.
Okay.
No.
Has it?
I gave a briefing in the last meeting.
Yep.
There's another one scheduled for November 17th, and I will be on travel then and will miss it. But one of my open projects with Tom was, the review of all open CPA Act funded projects. And we're getting close to that. There's some let's say difference in accounting concepts between Stephanie and I, which we're trying to resolve. But anyway, if I can't get together with her, I'll drop him a note or at least give him, some other thoughts.
Okay, great. Any update on the Hazard Mitigation Committee? Did you make that?
We had one meeting as previously scheduled, and I think that got kicked off. A couple of things that they owe us is copies of the state climate change plan, and also a list of the actions which were approved, I think it was 6 years ago, Jennifer, 5 years ago. When the previous plan, there was,
MVP plan.
I think there was almost 20 items that Easton was going to look at, and so that's a starting point to take off from the next hazard mitigation program. So that will do upon receiving those items. So that's all I have. Jennifer, any other comments?
Nothing to add. That was good. Thanks, Al.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Appreciate your hard work. Environmental planner updates.
Tufts Farm. So the RFP has been advertised everywhere. The open house was held on the 29th. We had one person come with 2 friends. We met with the cleaners. Al met with pest control. So that's moving along. Next week is the burner clean out and inspection. The workshop has been fully cleaned out now. The grapes removed from the shed. There's ongoing trash removal. We're almost finished with the contract for Merrill Engineering to do the parking lot and the survey work. I'm still waiting for 2 forms for them before I can give them notice to proceed. And the funds to repair the door have been received by the resident responsible.
I'm shocked there's not more activity around applying for that.
I'm sorry?
I'm surprised there's not more activity, more people weren't at the open house.
Yeah, there were some other requests, but because it's an RFP and there was a specific date, only one weekend. Other people have asked for another inspection, and I suggested they just put that in their application form. And I sent photographs of the site inside the house and outside, whatever I could provide that's available to everybody. Those were perfect.
Should we get a plumber in there to try to drain the water systems before they freeze up this winter? It may not be occupied in the quote-unquote near-term future.
Good point.
It depends if we're going to leave the heat on and if somebody's going to get in right away. So some of that will be the inspection next week to figure out if
Yeah.
the oil tank is good. I don't want to fill the oil tank with oil if they do the inspection a week later and say, this needs to be replaced. So I'm holding off for the inspection.
We'll just stay alert to freezing temps.
Yeah, I think
Good
the
point by
insurance
Al.
companies are getting very concerned about the date of the tanks. So we might have a tank in there that's beyond the insurance regulated date. I think it's 25 years. So
we might be in trouble. Yeah, we might be in trouble there.
The next, I don't have anything else for Tufts Farm. So good.
Thank you.
thank you.
Community garden is closed for the season. We have 3 new members on the Ag Commission, so we'll be able to start having meetings again. The last or second to last item is 57R Randall Street. I'm still waiting for town council to draft that agreement to enter the property to remove the boardwalk. So as soon as we have that, we'll present that to the Doyles. It's just allows the commission to go on to private property to remove the boardwalk. And the land surveyor and the wetland scientist have begun their work under our contract to delineate the wetlands so we can reroute the trail.
So is there a time frame on when I know we can't go in and get the boardwalk off of there until we get the right of entry signed, drafted and signed. I know we're waiting on town council, but the other work we can start once we start getting in the survey work and the wetland work, right?
Yeah, once that's flagged and it's on the plan, and they've identified the actual property boundary in the field, yeah, then we can begin figuring out how to reroute the trail.
So should we have some sort of discussion internally, maybe between, Mike and Chris and maybe even Stefan about, getting out in the field at some point once that happens? I mean, just you should start socializing that issue, right? I mean, just sort of, put it in everyone's mind that that's, going to happen in the next couple of months. If we get out there before the snow gets, then we might have some sense of what we can do once we can start cutting trails.
Well, after you get your wetland permit.
I entirely understand. We can go out and walk the trails without doing anything, so.
Yes, you can walk them, yeah. And then the last item is just that DEP is having a meeting at 58 Mill Street Thursday the 10th at 10:45 to go over the water quality certificate.
When did they start work over at 58 Mill?
Remember, they haven't started yet.
I know. I'm just. What's their plan? That's my question.
Not never. It's just. I don't know why it came out that way. They haven't started yet.
Right.
They're waiting for the MEPA certificate.
Okay.
And the 401 water quality certificate.
Okay. So at some point they're going to start doing that. So just as one last thing, I did see work start at 560 Foundry Street.
Oh yeah.
So that was,
yeah, they've actually, they're getting pretty close to finishing the grading on the daylighting of the stream. They're working in the floodplain area, getting that graded. They're moving very quickly.
Yeah, that's my comment.
Yeah.
So, they are active. In fact, I think someone was actually out there over the weekend. So
Nice.
So I just wanted to let everybody know that actually is happening. So, okay. Anything else from anybody? That's it for me. Okay, so we'll see you all. Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Callfield's aye. That was Carol Benson. Second.
Hey, thank you.
Thank
Y'all soon.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Aye.
Bye-bye.
Recording stopped.